We ran a session today at the Palais on the self-assembling out of the future, which was, I guess, mainly about how data is being applied to creativity, and how we're now able to use the same data that we use for targeting media to also determine not just which creative is the right creative to run. That's, you know, so that sort of DCO type thing has been around forever, but actually to help put the ad unit together. You know, to really sort of create ad units in real time, which are very engaging and relevant for the user, as relevant and engaging as the media is. And I think it's very important because the analogy I sometimes use is in this data space, it's a bit like a lake. You know, you need to fill up the lake with data, and then the CRM bit's the bit at the bottom. You sort of siphon that off. It's very important, but if you're not filling up the lake, then that sort of goes away. So it's about creating new data points and also using those data points, siphoning off the data to run targeted media. But what's important in all of that is, of course, the fact that we delight the consumer, engage with the consumer, and create an interesting consumer experience, because ultimately that's what it's about. You know, we're engaging with people. And, you know, the promise of a more targeted media environment, of course, is that we're creating more engaging experiences for users. The creative is very important in that.
So, Casper, walk us through the creative process, how that happens. Is it automated? Is it sort of, is there different media that's created, that's served up according to an algorithm, or what's that creative
Yeah, I mean,
sauce?
that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's just using the same data, so in our case, Turbine, the data in Turbine, other data, real-time data points to help put the creative units together. So based on people's interests, based on their demographic profile, based on, you know, the weather, whatever it might be. And I think that's one of the interesting things. You know, we talked a lot today, not just about the creative use of, or the application of data to creativity, but I think just as important is the creative use of data. You know, the sort of the flip side of that. And that's, I think, where we're seeing a huge amount of innovation. The sort of the self-assembling out of the future, if you like, is the future piece is there for a reason. You know, I think that's still something which some clients are engaging with, but is a little bit more nascent. But, you know, what we're seeing especially is now just an incredible amount of innovation around how data is being used and creativity around how data is being used. So it's not just about audience data, and clients really starting to understand the fact that their own data is actually more powerful when enriched with data that companies like Xaxis can bring to them, and they're therefore trying to figure out how they can not share data, because we're not talking about sharing data, but create profiles and segments which are of interest for them using both sets of data, but also using other sort of non-audience specific data, like real-time data. You know, is my ad on TV right now? You know, with our Synch product. Has the weather changed? Is the pollen count high? You know, with the hay fever medication, for example. You know, have the sports scores changed? Have the betting odds on something changed? You know, does that represent something more interesting in the industry? It's very easy to sort of, you know, look at a betting score change which is data which is readily available, as a bigger indicator of something else going on, right? And so so, you know, social media triggers. There are so many things that can trigger a signal to buy. You know, and one of the things we've just launched is a set of products called Xaxis Triggers, which basically takes advantage of, but enables clients to use technology to target those time-specific data points and triggers. You know, those things trigger a signal to buy an ad.
Is that so? Is that part of TV Sync in a sense?
TV Sync is part of that.
Okay, so
yeah, that's an example of a triggers product. As is
how big is TV Sync in the decisioning engine these days?
Well,
I know it's kind of coming along.
Our clients love TV Sync. They really do. It's still a phenomenal success story for us. In fact, we were shortlisted for an award in the Cannes Lions, not even the Innovation Lions, but the actual Lions, which we're very proud of, for a Xaxis TV Sync product. It was done with MediaCom and Sony Mobile in Dubai. So extremely proud to have been short. We didn't win, but I mean, I think even being shortlisted was already a huge achievement.
And so, is that technology your technology or licensed technology?
The data for that comes from, it depends on the market. So we would take a data signal, in some cases from Civolution, in some cases from other providers as well, like YY. Depends on the market and the landscape. And then the rest of the technology is, of course, our partnership with AppNexus on the execution. We use you know, to some extent Turbine, also on other targeting overlays. Obviously, all of our reporting UIs and dashboards and everything else. So it's a baked-in product. It's not a like everything that Xaxis does. It's not just sort of outsourcing to someone. It is something where we really are very proud of the technology we've built and the partnerships we've created to execute campaigns.
And finally, Casper, could you explain a little bit about the business of Xaxis in EMEA? And I know there's this conversation about trading desks. You're not really a trading desk. So how do you describe the business offering now in EMEA?
Yeah,
Xaxis offering.
You know what? It actually, and I say this not as a criticism, because I'm very proud of the fact that it hasn't actually changed that much since we started the business. You we always described ourselves as an audience business, an audience products business. And that's still what we are today. We combine data. We've talked about some examples just now about some of those incredibly interesting and creative data points which we're able to bring to the table. Our technology and our partners' technology, our inventory strategy, of really focusing. Still, 2/3 of our inventory in Europe comes from direct publisher integrations, which creates a much more premium environment for our advertisers to target their messaging, which is, if you talk about the problems we have with viewability and fraud, it's much easier to control for that when you're not reliant on the open exchange to source your inventory. And finally, our people and our expertise. So data, technology, inventory, and people, package that together into products that our agencies can buy on behalf of their clients. Whether they do that via an IO or whether they do that programmatically, it sort of doesn't matter for us. But we will and have always stayed our course that we're an audience and media products business. Historically, that's been very focused at the top of the funnel. But one of the things we've launched recently is a new business called Light Reaction, which is our performance business, which enables us to, again, take the data in Turbine and create that ongoing customer journey down into performance. And our focus for that business is very much on mobile, because we see that there's a huge amount of engagement with mobile when it comes to the bottom of the funnel, when it comes to that decision to buy. There's a lot of people engaging with their mobile devices at that point. So we acquired ActionX, which is a mobile re-engagement business. That's part of that business, Light Reaction product capability. Bringing ActionX to Europe, so they're doing great things in Europe at the moment with us, and really focusing on that being a mobile-first performance business.